Guys, sleeping.
Hey,
See?
wake up.
5 more minutes, Mommy.
You've been out since last Halloween.
I've been what? Well, hey there, boys and girls. It's me, MrCreepyPasta. It's Halloween time. Or at least it's getting pretty damn close. 13 more days until Halloween. I have some seriously suspenseful, scream-inspiring stories in my book of creepypastas for you this year. One's guaranteed to keep your heart racing. Or stop it entirely. Kind of like Billy here. So let's get started with tonight's tale of nightmares and things that go bump in the night. From Pathfinder Games and the Sound of Silence. We call this story, I've Been Watching You for a While Now. You learn so much about people when they think they're alone. All those bad habits, weird quirks, and awful perversions that are curtailed by social control by day, and let loose in the lonely comfort of their homes come night. I like to watch. It amuses me to discover the things that people want to hide. Those habits, quirks, and perversions, sure, but most of all, the fears. Oh, that's the good stuff. The very thing I exist for. The eyes may be the windows to the soul, so they say. But a person's deepest, darkest fears are the cold, blunt instrument you can wrench those windows slowly open with, or smash wildly through to peer within. I've been watching you for a while now. It's fascinating to observe the things that set you on edge, and the way in which you react. They're not the rarest of terrors, of course. I've long become used to the common, almost cliché phobias that plague so many people, but after so long playing this game, I've become quite adept at deducing all those little differences and variations that should be imperceptible. Like the contrast between someone who simply guzzles down wine and a discerning connoisseur. Make no mistake, I've gotten very good at this. I notice the way you freeze, and the features of your face contort in disgust when a sizable house spider comes scuttling along the floor. I see the way you cling to the light as you negotiate your apartment, always exchanging one extinguished bulb for a swiftly awoken neighbor. The way you curse nervously under your breath when the ceiling fixture fails on a tentative trip to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I observe your subtle discomfort at stepping into a confined space for any longer than you have to. It would be negligible to your friends, neighbors, and colleagues, but I know the signs. Your pulse quickens as you ride the elevator to the ground floor. A single bead of sweat clings to your brow as you're forced to climb into a bedroom cupboard in search of a lost item, and the door creaks oppressively close to your back. I take in all these things, and gradually, I use them to formulate a plan. Tonight's the night. The first step in our wonderful new relationship. Can you sense me peering eagerly over you as you sleep? You lay there, blissfully unaware of me as I creep into your room, lean over your bed, and begin to construct a nightmare. I'm very much a bespoke practitioner. You wouldn't believe how skilled I've got at this. It all comes together with ease. Within your greater cloud of confused, oblivious sleep, I have you wake to a most uncomfortable scenario. In your dream, you come into consciousness only to realize that all you see is inky black. You're immersed in an indiscernible void, not the faintest trace of light to orient yourself, give notice of your surroundings, or cast illuminations into your puzzled, tired mind. The lack of visual information stuns you into disturbed confusion. You've probably never known darkness quite like this. Free from sunlight, moonlight, lamp or torchlight. Free from the dim glow of a cell phone, the red pinpoint of a TV standby, or the fluttering flame of a romantically lit candle. Maybe you experienced something like this once in an old coal mine. Yes, that's it. I can sense it now as the memory comes flooding back to you when you were 10 or maybe 12. A school trip took you caving deep into the bowels of the earth, and down there, encased by the weeping rock and far from any trace of daylight, they had you all switch off your head-mounted torches and experience genuine dark for the very first time. You lie there confused, contemplating this, as you wonder just what the reason for this current total absence of illumination could be. Naturally, you look to touch to supply you with answers. You shift your clammy hands and move to stretch them out on either side of you, only to find that a cold, hard, coarse, rough surface abruptly halts your efforts. You start to panic now. I grow excited and eager as the expected pattern unfolds. You feel your way awkwardly around the edges of your confinement, to the sides, above, while kicking out your legs reveals somewhat painfully an equally snug fit for the lower half of your body. Only a few inches all around separate you from the borders of a resolute box in which you are held. Your breath begins to tear out in great heaves. I hear a whimper or two, a mutter of denial. Confusion now turns to frantic gibbering, and I haven't even played my best hand yet. There seems no way in or out of the box, but somehow, through some impossible feat, you begin to realize that something is emerging into the tight, cramped space with you. That sense of touch you clung to so desperately before now betrays and horrifies you as you sense the scratchy scruffle of something fast and chaotic rushing past an exposed flash of ankle. More jolts of contact follow, stop-start surges of unsure progress, eager for understanding and frantically sensing out their surroundings just like you. You freeze with dawning realization. Isn't it awful, my darling? The way in which those spindly legs judder and scramble and writhe and probe over your prone, shivering form and against the goose-pimpled landscape of your flesh. I've unleashed a dozen more. They make inevitable progress further and further into the box, scrambling along your heaving chest and throat now and then up to the whimpering summit of your face, one or two convulsing and writhing as they become tangled in the thick bonds of your hair. Oh, what sweet joy this is. Unable to move freely enough to throw them off, you shake your head from side to side, ball your shaking hands into futile fists, and throw some kind of maddening fit as every last ounce of cortisol and adrenaline floods your system, and you become overwhelmed with your natural psychological response. I know the science. I know how it works. Don't despair, my dear. You are now simply undergoing an intense, extreme version of the fight or flight response. Unfortunately for you, however, you can do neither. The key thing here is timing, just as a great movie director knows exactly how to hold a shot before they cut, so I know exactly how long to prolong the nightmare before bringing you back to reality. This is going really well, I must say. I leave you for a few more moments to let the absolute terror of your situation sink in. Delirious thoughts dance through your racing mind. I'm going to die here, you say to yourself. Alone and confined and covered in vile things, crying and shaking and begging for salvation in the dark. It all becomes too much. It always does. Finally, you snap. You open your mouth wide to scream, and that's when something bloated, hairy, and spindly-legged comes charging in, desperately seeking sanctuary in your warm, inviting gums. Cut. You awake. With a start. Isn't that how they put it? You instinctively reach your hands to your throat and gag and cough and retch, but there's nothing stopping you from breathing quickly. And within the space of a few tortuously long seconds, you begin to realize you're back in the safety of your bedroom. Your eyes gradually come into focus and you make out the reassuring outlines of your closet, desk, and chest of drawers. It's dark, sure, but practically lit by neon disco lights compared to the pitch-black void you've just come from. There's nothing scuttling over you where you lie. No box pressing you into place and forcing you to stay prone and cramped and bound in position. Quicker than you would think possible, that searing surge of hideous panic, the kind you people get when you suddenly realize you've forgotten something important, subsides to be replaced by a soothing rush of relief. And then calm. You let out a deep whoosh of pent-up breath. You sink back into the covers, place your head upon the pillow and sigh. Just a bad dream, you think to yourself, as your tired thoughts turn back to rest and respite and other trivial things. As is often the case, it isn't long before you've forgotten the details of the nightmare completely. You're not one of those people who keeps a dream diary or has an enhanced awareness of their subconscious playground, and as such, it's mere minutes before the finer points of your ordeal are lost to recollection for good. You had a weird dream, a scary dream. You retain that much, but just what was it that happened? What was it that made you so afraid? You can't for the life of you remember. I always enjoy the forgetting. It means that when I visit you again tomorrow night, and the night after, and the night after that, your fear will once again feel fresh, exhilarating, and brand spanking new. Of course, over time, that will change. With time, over the coming weeks and months, you'll become more and more aware of what's happening. More and more aware of the recurring nightmare that you're living each and every night. Your bedroom sanctuary will begin to seem like a prison. The end of each long day, a march to inevitable doom. You'll dread the previous sweet release of sleep and beg for morning to arrive, for the tedium of everyday monotony to save you from the ongoing onslaught plaguing you every time you seek to rest. But eventually, you'll begin to release that. It's not just sleep where I can get you. And eventually, you'll become more and more aware of me. That's when the real fun starts. That's when I really start to work my magic. I'm looking forward to our time together. Sweet dreams.